I watched the moment hip-hop crossed a line it can never uncross. The 2025 Grammys weren't just an award show, they were a public execution, broadcast in 4K. Kendrick Lamar walked out of the night with 5 Grammys in his hands. Drake walked out with something far worse, a stadium full of people chanting accusations that would follow him for the rest of his career. And while the cameras tried to clean it up afterward, the damage was already done. This was the night everything changed. February 2nd, Crypto.com Arena, Los Angeles, which should have been another polished, predictable industry event, turned into the most uncomfortable moment hip-hop has ever seen on a mainstream stage. Kendrick arrived with 7 nominations and left with 5 wins, all fueled by Not Like Us, a diss record so vicious, so specific, that it didn't just attack Drake's music, it attacked his character, his identity, and his legitimacy inside black culture itself. When Kendrick stepped on stage to accept his awards, something surreal happened. The crowd didn't cheer, they chanted. Thousands of voices in unison screamed lyrics accusing Drake of being a predator, words so explosive that they would later become the foundation for real federal lawsuits. You could feel the tension ripple through the room. This wasn't entertainment anymore. This was legal liability happening in real time, and the Recording Academy knew it. That's why, hours later, the official YouTube clips quietly removed the crowd audio. The chants were erased, the moment was sanitized, history rewritten for safety. But anyone who was there knows the truth. Kendrick didn't just win awards that night, he controlled the room. Even his outfit was a message. Denim on denim, a so-called Canadian tuxedo, at the Grammys. That wasn't fashion, that was mockery, an intentional jab at Drake's Toronto roots, a visual reminder of who Kendrick believed didn't belong. Trevor Noah said what everyone was thinking. "I thought about roasting you," he told Kendrick on stage. "Then I remembered what you do to light-skinned men from other countries." The arena exploded in laughter. Kendrick smiled, calm, comfortable, victorious. Drake? Nowhere in sight. He boycotted the Grammys entirely, refusing to sit in an audience celebrating what many saw as the systematic dismantling of his reputation. But here's where things get strange. Within hours of the ceremony ending, a grainy video hit social media. Backstage, dim lighting, a crowded space, 2 men in a heated confrontation. One looked like Drake, the other looked like Kendrick. Someone yells, "Hands off me." The clip was messy, unstable, clearly screen-recorded from an Instagram or Snapchat story. Emojis floated across the screen, and yet it spread like wildfire. YouTube flooded with shocking footage thumbnails. Comment sections turned into digital war zones. Fans analyzed every frame, every shadow, every reflection, convinced they were witnessing a secret altercation the industry didn't want them to see.
Yeah.
Nas ethered Jay-Z. We all were there for that. That
God.
happened. And Jay-Z's still Jay-Z.
But there was a problem. None of it was real. Frame-by-frame analysis exposed the truth. The clip was edited, likely a face swap, possibly lifted from reality TV. The dramatic timing, the pink background, the theatrical dialogue, it played like a scripted skit, not a real confrontation. And the biggest red flag? Silence. TMZ had nothing. Billboard had nothing. Rolling Stone had nothing. When the most aggressive celebrity media outlets on earth ignore a story, that tells you everything.
And now that it's happened, I'm like, wow, I didn't want this at all.
And
This is dark.
And it seems like this one, how many songs have they released so far?
They both, I think they're both at like 3 or 4. I think they're both at 3.
That is so great.
They're both at 4. They're
8 songs for each.
4 each.
This beef has lived in the gray zone between truth and fiction. Fake leaks, AI-generated vocals, planted misinformation. Drake himself admitted to feeding Kendrick false intel about a supposed hidden daughter, bait designed to test whether Kendrick would verify his sources. When Meet the Grams dropped. Grams dropped and included the claim. Drake fired back with The Heart Part 6, declaring the trap successful. From that moment on, reality didn't matter as much as perception. This feud didn't start in 2025. It didn't even start in 2024. It goes back to 2013. Control. Kendrick calling out names, Drake brushing it off, tension simmering beneath polite collaborations and industry smiles. There were rumors, almost fights, ESPN anecdotes, years of subliminals. Then, March 2024 hit. No big three, just big me. That single line detonated hip-hop. What followed was digital warfare at a speed the genre had never seen. 8 diss tracks in weeks, AI Tupac, legal threats, family members dragged into lyrics, accusations that crossed moral and cultural boundaries. In that chaos, fake content didn't just survive, it thrived. Because in an era of deepfakes, speed beats truth. And that's the real story here. Not just Kendrick versus Drake, but a moment where technology, culture, and ego collided so violently that even reality itself became negotiable.
I do notice hanging out with you, you do like lyrics. You're a lyric,
yeah.
like whether it be rap or anything.
Yeah.
Like it's what the person's kind of talking about usually that gets you going.
I just love clever lyrics, like I love a clever joke, you know?
And once that door opened, there was no closing it again. You're living in a moment where a voice is no longer proof of truth, where hearing someone say something doesn't mean they ever said it. And hip-hop, a culture built on authenticity, quietly crosses a line it may never fully come back from. It starts with paperwork, not music. Roc Nation files DMCA takedowns, arguing unlawful impersonation. Videos vanish overnight, then just as quickly they return. Courts and platforms rule that vocal style itself isn't copyrightable, no matter how close it sounds, no matter how intentional the mimicry. A legal gray area cracks open, and everyone watching understands the implication. This won't stop here. Ironically, the first person to show how this technology could be used responsibly is Kendrick Lamar himself. In 2022, The Heart Part 5 drops. His face morphs, not as a gimmick but as a statement. Kanye West, Will Smith, O.J. Simpson, Nipsey Hussle, Kobe Bryant, Jussie Smollett. One by one, Kendrick becomes them, forcing the audience to sit with uncomfortable questions about fame, forgiveness, cancel culture, and how America judges black icons. It lands the way art rarely does anymore, with intention.
What happens if Kendrick Lamar and Drake run into each other in the wild?
Oh, Drake would destroy that little guy.
Yeah, he's a tiny little
He's
dude.
a tiny little dude.
But what if Kendrick is expecting that? So
Not outrage, not lawsuits. Even Jussie Smollett publicly says he has no issue with his inclusion. For a brief moment, deepfakes feel like a tool for reflection, not destruction. But intent is fragile, and by 2023, restraint disappears. An AI track called Heart on My Sleeve floods the internet. The voices are unmistakable. Drake and The Weeknd cloned so perfectly that millions don't question it. Streams explode, platforms hesitate. Then Universal Music Group steps in and demands immediate removal. Drake calls it the final straw. His voice, his identity, taken without consent. And that's when the irony sharpens into something uncomfortable. Less than a year later, Drake uses the same technology, not defensively, but offensively.
You advise that Drake leave Kendrick alone in his new music. Do you think that's going to happen?
Nah, but when I mean leave him alone, we got to leave the moment. There's no more direct engaging. We ain't no more diss songs. It's over. So he's supposed to...
Against Kendrick, and worse, through voices that can't object. Tailor-made freestyle appears. AI Tupac, AI Snoop Dogg. For many fans, this is the moment the moral ground collapses. After months of condemning AI manipulation, Drake weaponizes it, resurrecting the voice of Tupac Shakur, a man who can't consent, can't respond, can't opt out of being dragged into a modern beef. The backlash is immediate. Tupac's estate calls it a flagrant violation of his legacy and threatens legal action. The track is pulled within days, but credibility doesn't come back with a takedown notice. From there, the chaos spreads. Fake Kendrick songs circulate. One shot goes viral before being confirmed as entirely AI-generated. Real tracks are doubted. Parodies like BBL Drizzy become so popular that even Metro Boomin and eventually Drake himself sample them officially. Another song, Wagwan Delilah, sits in limbo, never fully confirmed or denied. Reality blurs. Fans stop asking, is it good, and start asking, is it real?
On a business deal that you got another game?
Well, wait, hold on. I feel when he beat Meek Mill, it raised him up a notch. Back to Back was a big song in his career. I feel it was one of his biggest.
So when a supposed video surfaces, Drake and Kendrick arguing face-to-face, people are ready to believe it. They want to. After months of manipulated audio and planted narratives, the idea that real footage exists but is being hidden feels plausible. But the clip doesn't survive scrutiny. Frame-by-frame analysis reveals lighting inconsistencies, facial movements that don't align, audio that makes no sense for a crowded Grammy after-party. The dialogue sounds staged, theatrical, not chaotic the way real confrontations are. Most telling of all, no witnesses, no acknowledgement from either camp, no credible reports from anyone actually present. Social media searches spanning all of 2025 into early 2026 turn up nothing but speculation. What spreads instead are parodies, clips like Ray William Johnson's exaggerated dream sequence, stripped of context and reposted as evidence, satire mistaken for reality. Again. Even podcasts speculate. Joe Rogan and guests casually imagine what would happen if these two crossed paths without security. Drake is bigger, taller, stronger. On paper, the physical mismatch is obvious, but it never moves beyond hypotheticals, because despite years of tension,
And they're talking about each other's kids.
That's what I'm
on
saying.
songs, talking about each other's actual children.
there is zero evidence a real confrontation ever happened. Then comes the moment that ends the argument without a single punch. 1 week after sweeping the Grammys, Kendrick takes the stage at Super Bowl LIX. Over 100 million viewers, the biggest platform possible. He closes with Not Like Us, smiling directly into the camera on the lines aimed squarely at Drake. Serena Williams appears, a quiet, unmistakable statement, a televised victory lap. Drake doesn't respond. Instead, the fight moves to court. In late 2024, Drake sues UMG, accusing the label of inflating streams, paying influencers, using bots, manufacturing dominance for Not Like Us while promoting lyrics that accuse him of criminal behavior. UMG denies everything. Kendrick isn't named in the lawsuit, but the feud bleeds through every filing. As of early 2026, the case grinds on. Media allies advise retreat, let it fade, Jay-Z style. Drake's father, Dennis Graham, publicly congratulates Kendrick with surprising grace. Drake posts teasers, projecting calm, but the comparison is unavoidable. In 2015, Back to Back ended Meek Mill. Drake was the underdog then, the commercial artist proving he could battle. This time, the roles are reversed. Against Kendrick, Drake isn't the challenger, he's the establishment, and the establishment falls harder. Family gets pulled in, children get mentioned, allegations cross lines that can't be uncrossed. This stops being entertainment and starts reshaping public perception in ways streams and awards can't undo.
Hip-hop, as usual, man. I'm not good at talking about myself, but I express it through the music. It's an honor to be here. Tyler, the Clips, like these are my brothers to be in this category. What's up, Push, man? Malice, man.
By February 2026, Kendrick returns to the Grammys with 9 nominations and leaves with 5 more wins, 27 total, surpassing Jay-Z and cementing his place in history. And you're left with the uncomfortable realization, this wasn't just a rap beef. It was the first major cultural war fought in an era where nothing can be taken at face value. Not the voice, not the video, not even the evidence. And hip-hop, like the rest of us, is still learning how to survive in that world. The The final chapter doesn't arrive with shouting, it arrives quietly, and that's what makes it powerful. The moment that seals everything isn't a diss track or a viral clip, it's a song. Kendrick Lamar's collaboration with SZA, a reimagined take on Luther Vandross's 1981 classic Never Too Much, blends R&B nostalgia with modern precision. Familiar warmth, new weight, a record that feels timeless instead of reactionary. It wins Record of the Year, again, his second consecutive victory in one of music's most prestigious categories. History, not hype. When Kendrick steps to the mic, people expect a moment, a line, a shot. Instead, he disarms the room. His acceptance speech centers community over conflict. He names peers, not enemies. He shouts out fellow nominees, Tyler the Creator, Clips, artists who push the culture forward. He avoids the beef entirely. No victory lap, no reminders of who lost. Fans immediately recognize the choice for what it is: growth. Just months earlier, during the peak of the feud in 2024, Kendrick's bars were surgical and ruthless.
Every time I tell you this, hip-hop is going to always be right here. We're going to be in these suits. We're going to be looking good. We're going to be having our folks with us. We're going to be having the culture with us. So I appreciate y'all. God is the glory. Love.
Every week brought another escalation, another line dissected online, another cultural flashpoint. But now, standing at the top, he doesn't press further, because he doesn't need to. The GNX album reflects that same restraint. The themes are there: resilience, survival, cultural pride, but there are no direct disses, no names, no reigniting old fires. The message is clear. The argument is already over. Kendrick proved his point completely. Continuing to attack a defeated opponent would only cheapen the victory. But the aftermath lingers. Where does this go from here? That question hangs heavy over everyone involved. The accusations made during the beef, especially those involving alleged criminal behavior in minors, don't fade with time. They don't disappear with new releases or sold-out tours. They live permanently in the digital record, searchable, replayable, impossible to fully erase. No amount of streams, chart dominance, or even favorable legal outcomes can fully repair the damage done to Drake's reputation. Some lines, once crossed, never uncross. And yet, this doesn't feel like a win in the way rap beefs are supposed to feel. When children and families are dragged into the spotlight, when innocent people become collateral in a cultural war, there's no real satisfaction waiting on the other side. Dominance achieved this way comes with a cost that numbers can't measure. As for the so-called hidden fight footage, it ends exactly where it began: a hoax. A click-driven myth designed to thrive in an information ecosystem already drowning in deepfakes, planted stories, and manufactured outrage. No police reports, no eyewitnesses, no credible media confirmation. Not once across more than a decade of tension has there ever been evidence of a physical confrontation. The feud, for all its intensity, bitterness, and personal venom, has remained entirely verbal and musical. No punches thrown, no backstage fights, no secret tapes, because there was never anything to hide. Both artists continue touring, continue releasing music, continue drawing massive crowds willing to pay premium prices to witness them live. The lawsuits move slowly through the courts, detached and procedural, while the cultural verdict has already been rendered. This wasn't a story about violence, it was a story about perception, power, technology, and how quickly truth can be bent in the digital age. And that's where this chapter ends. But don't go anywhere, because the culture never sleeps. Tap one of the cards on your screen right now and keep it locked.